community.
And it'll be a surprise. The classic movie tonight is Selma, in celebration of Martin Luther King Day, and is sponsored by Bellows Falls Pride. And I want to remind people that you too can sponsor the classic movie. You as a business, you as an individual, you as a group of friends. It's $300 to sponsor. You get 12 free tickets, and you also get credit in all of the publicity that they do for the movies. So you could split the cost, then it's $150 each entity, 6 free tickets each entity. Just to put that little plug out for sponsoring classic movies. I've tried to look for some different things that are happening because January is kind of a slow time for events. But out at the Grafton Tavern at the Phelps Barn, every must be Wednesday. I just didn't write that down. I guess it's every Wednesday night through the month of January. They're doing apps and taps. It is Wednesday. There we go. $16. You get to choose one appetizer, and you can get either a craft beer or their house wine for $16. So that's apps and taps at. Wait till the next one comes up. Apps and taps at Phelps Barn at the Grafton Tavern, and then Ciao Popolo this Friday night is doing martinis and keys. So they have a great selection of martinis, and they're going to have a jazz pianist, Daniel McNamara, in the lounge. So this all happens in the lounge. And if y'all haven't been in there, they've got the fireplace and couches, and it's just a great setting. So that's Friday starting at 6:30 p.m. So that's martinis and keys. So you got apps and taps, martinis and keys.
And then everybody else is in rehearsal for
events coming up. So that's all I got today.
Else, yeah.
So you need to come up with like Jiu Jitsu and juice or something like that. Okay.
So Patrick and Gaetano, thank you. Gaetano, you've been on before, and Patrick, it's great to have you on. Jiu Jitsu, what is it?
So directly translated from Japanese, it's the gentle art. Basically, it's a grappling art. While we can do striking, it's not the basis for the art. It's all about taking your opponent to the ground if possible, because that's where we can alleviate size and strength differences, is on the ground. It's very difficult to do that while we're still standing. So that's the premise behind it. And we train both the top and bottom positions in case we end up on the ground in a vulnerable position, so that we can escape without getting harmed.
Oh, wow.
That's the gist.
Yeah. So, and then there are a variety of jiu-jitsus, right?
Yes.
It's sort of an evolved form. It started in Japan.
It started in Japan, and it was linked with judo. And then there was a separation around. There was a lot of competitions back then, and the Kodokan, which was more judo-esque, was winning a lot of those competitions. So the ground game of judo kind of separated, and then after a long story, they had a tournament where the ground game of judo nawaza or jiu-jitsu came back and won by taking away the ability for the judo practitioners to throw them, and then that reinvigorated the ground element of Japanese jiu-jitsu and judo. And then it spread to Brazil in the 1920s. The Japanese were trying to colonize in Brazil, and the Gracie family were known as diplomats in the area at that time, and they helped them colonize. And that's how it got to where Japanese jiu-jitsu was taught to the Gracie family.
Oh, and so now there's actually Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Gracie jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so there's a lot of similarities. If you ask me what the biggest difference is, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is a self-defense based system. Everything that you do in that form of the art has a self-defense foundation, because that's why we're practicing. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu modern day is considered more of the sport style, which is competitive Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, okay.
And originally competitions were set up so that we could practice our art at a very high level against people that we didn't know, so it was completely feral, or there was a lot of unknown, and we'd have to rely on our instincts and what we learned. the thing is, it got so popular that some people only do jiu-jitsu to compete now because it's an incredibly fun sport. The biggest difference is a lot of the stuff that you would do in a tournament will serve you no benefit in self-defense, or could actually be detrimental.
Oh, interesting.
Whereas, again, the foundation of the Gracie system is that the reason we're doing all this is for self-defense.
And when you teach here at Greater Rock Fitness, which portion of that are you teaching?
We're Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, so it's based on a self-defense model.
Yes, and again, they're very similar. Very similar. So in the beginning, you might not notice a difference.
Yeah.
Should we show the video? Just so
Well, I
people
was
have
just gonna. I had one. You're teaching 3 different classes, right? You're teaching a children's level class, or a young person. Children's is not the right term, I don't think, but young person level, and then adult, and then a specialized women's self-defense.
Yes. So it's basically all the same, and they're all brand new programs. So it's everything starting as if nobody's ever seen it, and we're bringing them up through the system and introducing them to it. We do the children to kind of pave the way and help them now and pave the way for them in the future. It's great for the adults, and then the women's self-defense is specifically geared towards potential of women having to defend themselves, not only from like an attacker, but from their peers. So it's just more dialed in for self-defense specifically, and we highlight incidents and techniques where the person performing it is typically smaller and not as strong as the person that they're opposed to.
Oh, which
That's-
is real life.
yeah,
scenario.
Which is what
Yeah.
would realistically
Yeah,
be the
yeah,
case.
yeah.
So last Friday, I got to go over and see one of the children's classes, and I got to do a video, and we're going to show the video. But I have to say, it was amazing.
Thank you. It's the art itself. The art is just amazing. So you see the kids take right to it.
So if we can show the video, Colin. That sort of highlights of the class. I was just amazed how this went from like chaos. It seemed like chaos, but it was actually controlled chaos. To they would focus on you like a laser and then do what you told them to do. I worked with kids before, and that is not a usual
It's just like
event.
herding
I think
cats.
you got it was an amazing class.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It is definitely very difficult to balance giving them the knowledge and keeping them locked in and also entertained the whole time. That's the big. Just takes practice, like everything else.
No, the two of you guys were great.
Thank you.
It was loose, but disciplined, which was, I guess that's what you want.
That's exactly the balance we're trying to achieve.
What is the significance of the gi and the gi colors?
The colors is no significant.
Oh,
It
okay.
just makes it
More fun.
more, yeah, it's just fast.
I was just curious because they were usually white. Are they usually white?
They used to be,
Okay.
yeah. When I first started, basically it was only white, and then there was rules. Like it was considered taboo to wear a black one if you didn't have a black belt, or a blue one if you didn't have a blue belt. But now it's completely just whatever you feel like wearing. The point of the gi is to represent the clothes. But if we only wore our clothes in class, we'd all go home with ripped up shirts and pants.
Okay.
So it's a
okay.
it's a
It's
tough
tough.
version of our clothes, because more than likely, if we get in a self-defense situation, both of us will be wearing clothes. So that's what we're trying to simulate. They're very thick.
Okay. I was just curious because I mean, years and years ago, there used to be a class at when it was Ripple's Fitness Center, and I thought they were all like the same uniform. So I was just curious to see that there was colors now. So, and even
It's the fashion trend.
The fashion
It's very
trend.
trendy in jiu-jitsu.
is it?
It
Is it
is.
the colors? Oh, that's funny.
Everything's trendy. Colors, the kind of gis, everything.
Interesting.
So Gaetano, I see your shirt says old guy. I still have a hard time seeing you as an
Old guy jiu-jitsu.
How did your jiu-jitsu journey start?
I know we're having it like this is like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu journey, jiu-jitsu.
So, it's a great question. I didn't wrestle in high school or growing up, and originally I had, when we opened Greater Rock Fitness, like the 2-year post just came up where I had put things we wanted to do, and like almost all of them have come to fruition, including jiu-jitsu. I wrote that in there randomly before
Interesting.
Pat, but I didn't really know them before, and I reached out to his wife about teaching kickboxing. That's how it all started, and then they were holding a kickboxing class, and I got to know Pat and learn about what he had done and his journey with jiu-jitsu, and just really hearing about it. He had some mats. We brought him in the smaller room, and it was a year ago, January 1st, like 5 or 6 of us kind of just started unofficially having a Sunday class, and I just really fell in love with it. So I was the eldest person, and I had 0 experience, so I was to figure it out. And it's unlike anything I'd ever done. It's really the wrong approach is to try to use any speed or strength. And it took me a long time. It really did. It was kind of frustrating for a while. Really overwhelming.
Uh-huh.
And listening to these guys and the stories. So you were asking about the colors of the gi. Your rank is symbolized by the color of your belt. So I'm a white belt, which is where you start. And every white belt goes through this journey. I would hear about his story. There's like a joke, you drive home in silence after a jiu-jitsu class and try to remember what just happened.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, it was really, so then I just kept going. That's what they said. We all went through it. You feel like you're not really picking it up, and it wasn't until just recently. So then I started to go a lot, and I just learned a lot. I would read a lot. I would listen to these guys, and I would continue to drill. That's what they said, just keep going. So it's like with a different energy. Just recently, I finally have this new calmness about it when I roll, which has really made things really open to my awareness. If you're tense, if you're like going like this the whole time and kind of just like defending yourself for 6 minutes, it's a tough 6 minutes, and you really don't remember anything that just happened. So I was drilling with a professor a couple weeks ago, and he said relax, he could feel me tense. So this is the newest thing I'm learning, and I think it's just really changed my mind. Like I fell in love with it, and I like a challenge. I like to learn, and it's just amazing. I mean, everyone in there that I roll with is half of my age, but they've become some of my best friends in life because there's so many things you have in common with the same love and appreciation for this martial art, which has been done for so long.
So what do you see happening with the kids that are coming in?
So with the kids, we were in the little room, and it was kind of like we would refer to it as like our secret fight club. We didn't tell anybody about it. You could get an invite.
Yeah, it was like,
but we don't talk about it. We
Secret,
decided,
secret handshake, knock on the door, password, the whole bit. Right?
yeah, we decided to move into the big room and make it official and open an academy. And so he has experience. He's run his own academy. He's taught. He made a living doing this in different times of his life. And he would talk about the kids at their last place downtown. And a couple things in particular we wanted to do was, offer jiu-jitsu to anyone who wanted it, but kids in particular. And then the female self-defense was very important to Pat and his wife as well. So what I've seen happen, we opened November 13th was our official opening, and it was an open house for kids, and I'll bet there was 40-something people in that room.
wow.
We have a photo of it, like parents lined all the way around, and I think, 17 kids, which, for a lot of them, they're stepping out of their comfort zone. And almost every single one of them is still there today. So from the beginning, like you talked about, kind of corralling them and how they listen when he speaks, it's amazing.
It is.
Like these kids can't sit still for a second, or they have a screen in front of them, or it's just really hard to focus. So to watch them really fall in love with it as well, and watch them change. Some of them, we're all from Bellows Falls. It's sometimes life is tough, and it's really given them a good, healthy outlet. And I've watched all of them change in less than 2 months. And they look forward to it. They're coming early. There are times when you got to reel them in, but like when it's time to listen and sit and listen, they're really well behaved. It's quite amazing.
Do you find, so here's my question, do you find that when you're working with the kids that they have an easier time with not overthinking it? It sounds like maybe you were kind of overthinking it because you were applying other principles. It's also interesting to me that you call it rolling, because it sounds like you got to roll with it and not try to own it.
Rolling is like our sparring. We call it rolling because we're not really hitting each other.
But I was just saying the word rolling because you got to kind of roll with the technique versus trying to over. So do the kids like naturally do that more so than adults, or does it matter?
Kids and women tend to learn quicker because what is required to actually get good and improve, women and children can accept pretty quickly. men in these specific areas of not using strength and speed and athleticism, it's very difficult for men to let that go because there's always a dip. Like you may be at a certain level and it's like, all right, I got to really learn how to do it. The first thing that happens is, all right, now you're down here. And it's very difficult. So they want to just stay there. What happens if you stay there is it'll just chew you up. You'll not last. But if you take the dip first and then move up, sky's the limit. Change your whole life.
Is there more of a mental component to it than a physical, or is it about equal?
I would say it depends, like in your journey, but it ultimately becomes very intellectual, very chess-like, and the physical is just muscle memory from repetition. It's definitely the art where you don't practice till it's perfect. You practice till you can't get it wrong. So that's how you react in the moment if somebody attacks you. Like, how am I going to do this thing if somebody out of the blue does something to me? It's through the repetition. I do it so many times. You do it so many times that you can't get it wrong, and it just happens.
That's an interesting twist on like perfection.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to pursue in the art. And then inevitably, you'll hit a moment, and it's different for everybody. You say, well, how can I apply this to my life? And then what ends up happening after your first year is the actual mat stuff is great and awesome, but it really becomes all about what it does for you outside in your life. Not only your team and the mentorship, engaging with one another, but it's like a problem-solving process where I keep having this happen to me. Why does this keep happening? And what it forces you to do, no matter what, is take accountability for your role in that. And then you apply that to your life.
Interesting.
And then you can, any problem that you come up with, you use the Jiu Jitsu method, which is, number one, we can't let it get to a problem that's too out of control. And then we can't respond to things emotionally because it biases our judgment. So we end up solving the problem the best way it truly benefits us, not the way that we would like it to turn out.
That's great.
I'm curious, have you gotten feedback from parents about like maybe kids being a little more focused, or
It's
maybe
self-confidence is the biggest
big
one.
thing?
Because
Interesting.
what happens is shy kids that won't talk to people go to restaurants and order their own food. They'll tell you not to put tomatoes on. I mean, kids that never speak to strangers pull out the menu as if they're a professional, and they'll tell you exactly what they
that's
want.
good.
And it's like their parents are looking at them like, who is this kid?
That's funny.
But it's like that in everything.
I think it's nice because there's definitely a void. I'm just going to throw in that we're about 2 minutes out, but there was a void in town for anything for that age group kids to do. So kudos to both of you for offering this and putting it out there. So if people are interested, best way to contact you, and I think a screen's going to come up, but you can
There it
reiterate.
is.
There it is. Your email address? grockfitness1@gmail.com, is that correct?
That's it.
And then grockfitness.gymmasteronline.com. That's what
And
it
then
says.
if you use social media, there's a Greater Rock Jiu Jitsu page. So we haven't mentioned Ben, and Ben was going to be here today, but he has to work, and he runs the page, and he's very responsive to questions, and he's teaching these kids. I'm just helping him out because I know most of them, and but Ben is a very big part of this whole operation.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm older than his dad. He's become one of my best friends. It's really cool.
Yeah.
All three of us, the mission is the community, this community. We agree, we felt there was something missing for the children and for the adults, and we're trying to, in the way we know and think is best, we try and offer to fill that void in a way that is as positive as possible and gives back to the community as possible.
And what times are your classes? That would be a good thing for people to know.
So the kids' class is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 4 to 5. If you're an adult and you want to try a class, because everybody can try a class for free. We want you to come in and try it. You know, you can email us, you can do anything, but we would prefer you just show up, come talk to us, come check it out, come try a class. The women's self-defense class is always free. It's on Fridays from 5 to 6. So yeah, kids, any Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4. Adults, Monday and Wednesday, 5 to 6 is the beginner class. It's geared towards people that are beginners or never had it. And then the self-defense for women is all levels. You could be a beginner or whatever. But
And we got like 10 seconds, but how's
There's
the turnout for that been? Has that been good?
We had a,
self-defense
Yeah.
has been awesome.
oh yeah,
Good.
we had a
Mike,
6 a.m.
parting
class
thoughts?
this morning. So I went to 6 a.m. class. I'll be back for kids class and then adult. So there's jiu-jitsu every day except Thursday.
Perfect.
I beat the buzzer.
You did beat the
You
buzzer.
did. But just before we go, I'd like to point out one of the things that Patrick tells the class is that they're a team, that they're not, even though they're wrestling or rolling with each other, which is like wrestling, they're not competing with each other. They're teaching each other the techniques, and they're teaching each other to grow. And I thought that was amazing.
We
So-
use each other to lift each other up is the premise behind that. The idea.
That message should maybe get out to like
Everybody
a lot
in the
more
world.
adults.
I think the world.
I think so too. That's what I
community
meant.
at a time.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's
So
all the
we
time
hope
we
you'll
have?
come
Oh,
back.
yeah, hope you'll
because
come
this
back.
is, we
That's
just
great.
barely dipped
Yeah,
our
we're
toes
just
in
getting
it.
warmed up.
So, all right, bye community.
All right. See you
Bye.
next week.
Thank you.
We'll
Come
get
see
cut
us.
off.